So our main topic today, speaking of residentials, we're actually going to talk about equipment today. Your body is the best equipment you could use on an investigation, and that's what I tell people.
And dogs and small children.
And dogs and small children.
Whatever's available.
But I like going into a residential, an investigation, and even when we do the public investigations, and being able to use your equipment, because your equipment, most people can see it, and so not only you, but your client or the guests that we have come on
the public
investigations. A lot of times you can capture that evidence, through a camera. You can take a picture that the lights came on or take a video. There's so much. So many people have gifts that they can use. I mean, some people can see things, some people can hear things. There's different levels of empaths and mediums, and whether you're feeling emotions, whether you can see the spirits, whether you can hear the spirits. I mean, it's all over the spectrum. But it's always nice to be able to go in on a scientific avenue too, because you never know whose home you're going into. You have people that might poo-poo science. You might have people that poo-poo the spiritual. And so I like to go in with both.
And so oftentimes you'll have one of each.
Exactly. And so it's nice to be able to go in and hit it from both aspects. And that's usually how you validate it. You can usually validate your scientific through the spiritual or spiritual through the scientific. So you kind of think of it as the two deep leadership, a validator.
Yeah.
Your thing and then the validator. There we go. That's the official word, the thing.
The thing.
The thing.
Would you say that there's two primary camps? Are there a portion of people who will focus solely on spiritual things and then a percentage that'll focus solely on kind of the scientific approach when it comes to equipment?
I think so.
There's not many people that kind of cross, or?
I think, at least on our team, I mean, I can't speak for all the teams and all the investigators ever, but I think most teams try to do a little bit of both. I know, and I don't want to name names, not because I'm embarrassed or anything, but I don't know that if they want their name out there, but there's a team that we have worked with up north of where we are, who they are fantastic with their gear. Now, I haven't investigated with them enough to be able to give you a full rundown, but they pull out their gear and I'm in awe. It's like, oh my gosh, they've got the awesome gear. And then there's people that I've worked with that just come, just them, and they don't bring a lot of gear because...
Or any,
and they do, because they can feel the spirits, they can see the spirits, they can hear the spirits. And I think having a nice mix of both is great.
Right. I think for me, I'm definitely more kind of science driven in terms of evidence.
You're a doctor?
I
Wait.
don't know, weird, use evidence and facts and things. And so for me, things like dowsing rods or, I guess I'm maybe not very sensitive when it comes to feeling spirits. I've gone on some investigations where people have said, oh, there's something in that corner. And I'm thinking, I could go lay down in that corner for 30 minutes and probably wouldn't feel a dang thing. But I do think some of the equipment, I've had some interesting readings or triggers that I haven't been able to explain. And I find that fascinating. Things like, thermo imaging with FLIR or the K2 meters are all interesting things. And I'm sure we'll kind of dive into what each of these things are and how they operate.
Yeah.
All right, so I just kind of made a list of basics. So if you're going to become a
investigator,
words are really, I can talk like a normal human being until I sit down with a microphone in my face, and then you think I've never spoken a word in my life. Basics, if you have a flashlight, and the flashlight's mostly just for safety. I mean, let's face it, most of investigating is done in the dark. You don't want to kill yourself. And I would suggest having some with a filter, because if you turn on a bright old flashlight, your night vision's gone. So I would suggest putting a filter on that of some sort.
So are these the mag lights that you can adjust, or is this just a regular flashlight that you're talking about at this point?
Just any flashlight, just so that you can turn it on and not fall down the stairs. Especially if you're in a building that you're not familiar with, which is most of the time. A camera, and your camera can just be the one on your phone. Yeah. I have gotten the best pictures just on my phone.
Our phones are so capable of doing so many things now. The recordings, cameras.
Oh, I know. You go buy a new phone and you're really buying a camera is what you're buying.
Yeah.
You're buying a camera that can make phone calls.
Yeah, the megapixel quality is pretty stellar on these new phones.
They are. They really are. And then a recorder, and you can have a separate recorder that you buy. I bought a really fancy one that looks all Star Trek-y.
Rogue was just talking about a recorder that she dug up. Tell us a little bit about that.
my old school analog with a little tape in there that's from an old investigation 10, 15 years ago. We'll take it out and we'll investigate on top of it. But I'm pretty excited to get that old school analog little recorder.
So what got you thinking about that?
Watching a program on Netflix today. Do we want to promote that?
Sure.
I don't know if we do. I honestly can't even tell you the name of it.
Okay, but there's a cool new one.
There's a cool new show on Netflix. I think it just came out today. It's something death.
Didn't you call it Death Experiences or something like that? Death?
Yeah, something terrible.
But anyway, a Netflix death show.
Something
It
about
was a
something
Netflix
about
death show, and anyways, it's like 4 or 5 different episodes, and one of the episodes is about paranormal investigating, and they had an investigator on there, and she pulled out her little recorder, and I was like, oh, I have one of those, and I stopped immediately and went and found it and put it in my kit. Put fresh batteries in it, as if that's going to matter, right?
Yeah, they'll be drained anytime
Right.
soon.
We've all learned about batteries, but we're going to try it out. They even mentioned on that show that she'll put 2 of those recorders out, and sometimes only one will pick up the voices and the EVPs where the other one doesn't. So she uses that as evidence.
Interesting.
A little different than your digital, today digital. I was looking at it going, am I going to be able to buy little tapes for this? Like, do they even make them anymore?
eBay.
eBay, right?
You'll have them on eBay. They probably have them on Amazon.
Probably.
I remember those little tapes. They're
Yeah.
so cute.
They are cute,
They're cute.
exactly. They're very
But-
cute.
So there's
Just-
also digital recorders on your phone.
Just the one on your phone.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, your phone has a flashlight, your phone has a camera, your phone has a recorder. If you have a smartphone, you got everything you need.
And I think our phones will even do like night vision and different things. Like I have an iPhone 11. It has 3 cameras on it.
Right, and your phone, it can take stills, it can take video. Someone's going to say, I just have a phone. I don't feel like a real paranormal investigator. And that's up to you. The equipment ranges I even have prices here. So let's start out with just some basics. So just for safety's sake, if you're, you should never, ever, ever ghost hunt by yourself, because you never know if something's going to attack you. And if something attacks you, you want someone there to help you get out of that situation.
And you're walking around in the dark and you might fall and get hurt, and there won't be someone to send you to the emergency room.
Right. So
Safety
yeah,
first,
that
kids.
too. Wow.
Absolutely.
Safety first.
So that's why we like to take Doc with us, because we know if something happens, he can save our lives.
I got you.
He can bring us back from the dead. That's what
Right.
his daughter says.
That's what she says I do for a living.
So tell them that story, because I love that story.
Oh, my kid was at school, and one of her friends was kind of bragging about her dad and said, well, my dad makes macarons. And my daughter looked at her and said, oh, my dad brings people back from the dead. And I was like, dude, I'm not running for Jesus. You're probably like over like stating what I actually do. But I'm glad that she,
But she grasps the idea.
yeah, and hey, she's proud of what I do. So,
But
it's great.
macaroons are delicious.
And I love macarons. Don't get me wrong.
They are. They're really good. And they're kind of pretty, too. Okay. So, but as far as safety goes, walkie-talkies. On residentials, we don't necessarily use walkie-talkies because we're usually, in fairly close proximity. But in our public investigations, where we're a little bit more spread out, sometimes we use walkie-talkies, and they've been very, very useful.
Yeah, we used them at the cemetery one that we did in Ogden.
Right. And
Because we had 5 groups and 65 acres. And
right, and is that going to prove any paranormal activity? No, but we want you to be safe. So if you're going to be spread out or separated from each other, have a walkie-talkie. Now, actual stuff. If you want to get an actual digital recorder that's different from your phone, there's a myriad of them out there. And they range, from very cheap to very expensive. I have a more expensive one. We will not talk about how much it costs. Plug your ears. There we go. But I got looking on Amazon, just because if Amazon doesn't have it, you don't need it. Just kind of the average run-of-the-mill price was about $50. There were some that were on the cheaper end, some a little more expensive, but like I said, just kind of average mean about $50 for a digital recorder. I will say, if you're going to use a digital recorder, do it in short bursts, because it's easy to sit down and listen to 10 or 15 minutes of audio, but if you forget it and leave it on, and you have to listen to 8 hours of audio, that's painful. You'll never sit down and do that. And you can say, oh, I'll listen to 10 minutes at a time. It doesn't happen. But it's easy to listen to 5 or 10 minutes here and there and say, nope, nothing there. Nope, nothing there. Then a whole bunch. So the other thing that I would suggest, we're kind of doing the smaller price things first, but an EMF detector, or what we call a K2, and this is the one with the little rainbow lights on it.
I've used that one.
Yeah. And like anything, humans, ghosts are humans, most of them. Some humans like certain things and some humans like other things. I hate avocados, for example. Chad loves avocados. So when we go to a restaurant, guess who gets my avocado?
Avocados are good.
No, they're not. They're gross. They're the most disgusting food on the planet.
Oh, they're so creamy and
No,
soft.
just stop.
Guacamole,
Oh.
chips.
You guys are all
Mash 'em up,
fired.
that green gooey goodness. Mmm.
No,
Kind
they're
of
not
slimy on the outside a little bit.
Good. Okay, y'all are
After
fired.
you pull them out, yeah.
But we've noticed even spirits. Some spirits like the lights. Some spirits don't like the lights. And so we will usually, when we go to an investigation, lay out 5 or 6 different things. And it's not, hey, look at how cool we are with all of our equipment. It's like, what are these spirits going to interact with?
Because it's not the same every time.
No, we went to a home in American Fork, and this has been years and years ago. Everybody there set their K2 meter on the table. There were probably 5 or 6 K2 meters sitting on this table. And we were asking questions, and we weren't really getting any interaction. Finally, someone told the homeowner, because the homeowner was who was hearing the voices and having most of the interaction. And he would ask questions, and every single K2 meter on that table would light up clear to the red at the exact same time.
All of them.
All of them. Not just one, every single one at the same time.
And when Raven or I or other people were asking questions, it was like,
yeah, you're dead.
yeah,
to us.
there might be a bump, there might be a deal, but he did it, and it was amazing. The responses that we got on on that equipment, and all of them, they were within 2 or 3 feet of each other.
Yeah.
And the K2 meter measures electromagnetic frequency, right?
Yes.
Just that. There's no other inputs that go into the K2 meter, correct?
Nope. Now, you do have to be careful with the K2 meters because your phone can light them off. If you put it up by, like, for example, we were at Marcus's warehouse, and this has been several years ago, and I'm standing at the top of the stairs, and it just pegged to red. And I was like, woo, look, it just pegged to red. There's something here. And then I look over, and there was the breaker box. I was like, oh, it's the breaker box.
It might be generating some electricity.
Right. So usually when we go into a house, that's the first thing I'll do is take the EMF meter, the K2 meter, because you just want to see what the ambient EMF in the home is.
We have an investigator whose home is one of them that we went and investigated early. They had crazy EM, but they had those huge power lines in their backyard.
In their backyard.
Remember? And it was like, it's like, okay, things are at yellow, just normal.
Look, and this tool is officially worthless today. Got
Right.
it.
So we use that just to see what the base level in the home is. We had a client again several years ago who was pretty sure there was a spirit in her closet, which is actually pretty common, believe it or
They
not.
seem to like to hang out in
They
closets
love
and
the
basements
closets.
and crawl spaces.
Yeah, if I'm gonna haunt your house, I'm sitting in the lazy boy in front of the TV with the remote.
Yeah, like,
Right?
I'm not
I'd be
gonna hang out in your
popping
closet.
popcorn or something. They come downstairs and there's a bag of like Pop Secret in the microwave. Holy hell, we've got a ghost in here.
Exactly. I'm not gonna hang out in your messy
Nah.
closet.
Nah,
But
not that interested in your old shoes. No.
I don't know. I might try the shoes on if they're good looking though.
Maybe.
There's a shoe thing there. We went in her closet, and it turned out that in this home, it was like in a fourplex, and the Wi-Fi for the whole building ran up through her closet. And so we were able to say, because EMF does give you a creepy feeling. It can make you. It can
Some
give you
people
the,
that are sensitive to the electronic
Right.
frequency.
Yeah,
get-
we could put Chad and probably Doc in there, and they'd feel nothing. But Rogue and I might.
Probably.
Right.
We would feel those creepy. So
Right.
that's a good one to have. And I've noticed that if you get a younger spirit, we'll talk about child spirits one of these days. I have issues with child spirits to a certain point. The child spirits that we have run into, and there's a pause there for a reason. And again, this is for a different podcast, but it seems like the younger spirits tend to like those, to watch those play a little bit. I do believe in child spirits. I just have a couple caveats, so you'll have to keep listening for our child spirit episode.
That show that I was watching on Netflix that was just brought up, one of the tools that they use is they've got these little cat toys that are really sensitive to movement, and they light up. I thought I would get myself some of those because of the children that we do run into. I thought those kind of look fun, and it doesn't take much, to move it or to light it up. So it would be easy for a child to maneuver.
Right now, if you have listened to our podcast back when we very first started in the old days, I got a Boo Bear. And the Boo, I think that's what they're called. They're called Boo Bears. And it's a teddy bear, and it's supposed to be an EMF. It looks like a teddy bear so that the child spirits aren't, scared by it, because it's just, oh, hey, it's a teddy bear, right?
Right.
What kids are scared by teddy bears? None. Someone's listening going, my son's terrified. No, but most kids aren't.
Right.
We have taken this several places and not gotten anything on it, where child spirits are supposed to be. That being said, we took it to Asylum 49 in Tooele, and there are 2 child spirits there. I believe they're there because I heard them, and everybody on our team at the time heard them. Audibly. We heard an audible EVP there. We were sitting at a table in a conference room where these child spirits tend to hang out, and we were talking, and we had been doing, EVPs and trying to get them to move things. And I think we kind of just checked out for a minute and we're just kind of shooting the breeze for a minute. And we heard some kids in the hallway. I have children. And as a mother, as a father, after a while, and Doc can attest to this, they get chattering and you can just block them out. First, I didn't think much of it. And then I thought, wait a minute. And you can hear in our recording, I said, did you guys just hear some kids? And everyone's like, yeah. But we were there. I think the youngest person in our group was 21. It was midnight, 1 o'clock. There were no children in that building. And so we're like, holy cow, I hope someone got... And so we went back, and I think there was 2 or 3, maybe 4 recorders going on, and I think 1 or 2 recorders picked it up. But everybody in that room heard it. It was awesome. But we tried to get them to light up the Boo Bear, and just the way the Boo Bear was, I don't know if it's mine or just all of them in general, but they had a hard time. They said they were trying to light it up, but they couldn't light those up.
I'm really glad that you explained what a boob bear was, because my thought process was going in a completely different direction there.
A Boo Bear, not a Boob Bear.
I was thinking ghosts maybe like boobs. I don't know. They're human, right?
Some of them.
Ish.
Oh, that's exactly what we're using to talk with children.
You just... a bear with boobs on it. Got it.
Taking
maybe,
it primal.
hey, food source, little kids,
Exactly.
maybe.
Taking it primal.
Just saying.
Yeah, we can't take these people anywhere. So EMF
Shoot up breast
detectors.
milk.
EMF detectors, again, on Amazon, just kind of, doing a run through. You can get those for about $30. If you're looking to do kind of some budget stuff that work really well, I would look into getting a K2 meter with the little rainbow colors. And they've got rainbow colors. How can you not like colorful rainbow lights? It's like Christmas every day. A thermal camera. Now, I have to tell you, we had the opportunity at Christmas time to get a new piece of equipment. I had in my short list was thermal camera and infrared video. And again, if you're listening to the podcast, you're not going to be able to see what I reveal.
Glorious.
I got the infrared video camera because we really need to start taking more videos as a group.
That is going to be amazing.
However, and doesn't even have the little case on it. There's a little case. I'll show you later.
We'll put a handle so you can...
We'll put a picture of this up on the website. The thermal camera, it was really a toss-up. So thermal camera is absolutely next.
Is that one pretty expensive?
Those can run anywhere from $100 to like $1,000. It kind of depends on where you want to go. But there were several nice thermal cameras in like the $200 range.
So the ones we got weren't thermal cameras. The cameras that we got earlier? The cameras that we got earlier weren't the thermal cameras.
No, those are like infrared.
They're infrared cameras?
Those are infrared full spectrum cameras. But this one's video. It's actually a vlogging camera, but it does infrared night vision and stuff.
Vlogging?
Oh.
A vlogging, like a video blog.
That's what I thought. Interesting.
So, and it's got a little microphone on it. I'm pretty stoked.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Can't wait till
I
we
think
get
it's
to
going to be
use
fun.
it.
As far as having that extra spectrum of light, the infrared, is it common to find apparitions or ghostly activity in that spectrum that the human eye usually can't pick up?
I don't know because we haven't personally used one very often, so we will let you know.
We gonna find out. Okay.
I have
But
watched.
apparently so, because they sell them.
Because they sell them.
Oh, it was like a designated ghost finding infrared camera.
Well, I think it just goes along with the science of, okay, in real light, what do we see? In infrared light, what do we see? In all these different lights, what do we see?
Right. Visible light, in terms of what humans can see, is a very, very narrow spectrum of light. And
Yes.
so, I guess potentially it could open up possibilities there.
If you're listening to this podcast, you probably watch several different ghost investigating shows. We won't name them all. We won't poo-poo or hype up any per se right now. I have watched several different shows where they've used different lights to record, and even we're kind of doing, infrared and thermal detectors at the same time. Thermal is going to detect heat. And I've seen some pretty compelling things that other groups have caught on camera. I've seen some pretty interesting thermal camera stuff. And I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. You've probably seen, I'm on TikTok. There are TikTok videos where they do thermal cameras and they catch people farting because farts are a little bit warm. So I figure if you can catch a fart on a thermal camera, maybe you can catch a ghost on a thermal camera.
Both are quite ethereal in nature.
So go to TikTok and look for thermal camera
Kind of
farting.
gaseous essences.
That's right.
It's kind of cool to watch in a creepy, demented sort of way.
You can also light farts on fire.
hilarious.
Little tidbit there for y'all.
We've had just enough going on. I'm not sure what I'm going to make for the meme for this podcast. We could go in a lot of different directions.
Just saying.
All right. That kind of leads into a thing called a Kinect. Now, if you're a gamer, you've probably heard of Kinect. I'm going to look at...
Xbox, yeah.
Yes. So they would use it as, you could use your body and
For,
kind of
like, dancing
hook
games
it
and
up for
stuff.
dancing games. Exactly. Well, Xbox kind of discontinued it. It didn't take off like they thought they did. But Ghost Hunters said, hey, we might be able to use this elsewhere. And I have actually seen this. One of the guys on our team has one of these, and I'm not sure what it's called, and I apologize for that. But and I don't know if it's an app. I don't know if it was a piece of equipment. I don't think it was an app. I think it's a piece of equipment. But what it does is it picks up movement, like a motion detector, but it will show the movement on like a tablet as a stick figure. And we went and did a brewery up in Salt Lake. Do you remember this, Chad? And there's two brothers on our team, and they had this, and we caught, probably 2 or 3, 4 times in this building, there were stick figures on their screen pointed in an area where there were no people.
I have seen something like that on one of those ghost hunting shows on TV. But that's pretty cool when that happens.
Yeah. And I thought, when they brought it, I was like, yeah, But when I saw it in action, because I had seen it on a ghost show as well, but when I saw it in person, I thought, I don't know.
I was kind of like that grid that you pulled out on that one investigation that we did. I was wondering if that was what I was expecting from the grid.
Right, and that's another piece of equipment. So you can get these online, just the laser grids. And I honestly don't know what you'd use them for other than ghost hunting, because I'm lame.
Christmas lights. You've seen them as Christmas lights all Christmas.
Oh, the red and green ones that people just cast onto their house. Like the really old people that are afraid they're going to break a hip if they actually hang up Christmas lights. They just stick the thing in the ground and shoot it up at the house.
Yeah, those.
Gotcha.
Right. But I mean, before that, because that hasn't been, I don't know. I'm lame.
Is that what that was that you hooked up that has amazed me all this time? Is just
Yeah, but I bought it before it was a shine on the house thing.
Okay.
But anyway, mine's green. Apparently you can get them in blue and red. I kind of want a blue one. Or a purple one. Ooh, I wonder if they come in purple.
I didn't know you had a cat.
I do.
Yes, you do.
So our cat can come in the dog door, but is incapable of going out the dog door if human beings are in the home. And it doesn't
At 2
matter.
o'clock in the morning.
Doesn't matter what time it is.
And then again at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. But if we're gone, he can navigate both ways. But he's a one-way dog door cat if there's human beings in the home. So at some point he's going to meow at us and want to go back out, even though he just came in apparently. So yeah, and he's huge.
He is a very big cat.
I take him to the vet and they chuckle because the cat weighs more than my dog.
I was going to say, I think your cat's smaller than your dog, though.
Not the little dog.
No, not the little dog. The big dog that can't fit through the dog door.
Yeah, our animals are insane. Our big dog can't fit through the dog door anymore. Okay, so back to paranormal stuff. So the grid, so the idea of a grid, and these grids, when I bought mine, they were $10. They've gone up. They're about $15. But you just turn them on. It's a light grid. And the idea is if a spirit walks through it, you're going to get a distortion in there. And we did a residential not too long ago where we set one up towards the basement area. And as I looked at the pictures of it, I need to look at it a little closer. I haven't posted these because I haven't had time to debunk them. But there's places where, I mean, most of it just shows dots, but there's several places where the dots kind of streak. And in one area, you look at the streaks and you go, okay, those are just kind of bouncing off the door frame. And, you know, it's the door frame distorting that because the laser light's just hitting it just wrong. But there's a couple off to the right where you go, I don't see what's distorting that. So before we get too excited and post those, I need to give them some more looks and some more thoughts and make sure that it's not distorting off of anything. But that's the idea of those. And one of my very first investigations, I was actually a guest on someone else's public investigation, and we were at Fort Douglas, and they said, who wants to sit in this room all by themselves with this light grid? And they pointed at me, would you like to? And I said, no, because I was too terrified. I don't want to sit here by myself. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I was such a wuss. But light grids were one of the first pieces of equipment that I was introduced to, and I kind of like it because it's only $15. So if you're on a budget just starting out, not sure you want to put a lot of money into this yet, that would be a good one as well. As far as the thermal cameras, the Kinect, the infrared night vision camera, those are going to be, you're looking at $200-$300 for those.
Have you ever looked to see if there's an app on your phone to make your phone be an infrared camera?
I have not, but I'm sure it can.
I actually had one on, remember, at that house you were talking about where I got that phenomenal...
The video. Talk about that video.
It was at the same house where the K2 meters went in American Fork 4 or 5 years ago. And the video that I got, I just pulled up an app from the Play Store, and it was a night vision video app, and it was amazing, the kinds of things that it showed. And you could see...
Oh, in that home, there was one male spirit and 2 female spirits. And you could see in that video legs walking.
Yeah, and it was weird because it was, the night vision on. It wasn't dark, but you could see the additional things. And there was a floor in the living room. There was a thing that went down into the basement. I mean, not the basement, but a crawl space. It was a wood square that was in the thing that they had under the rug. Remember that?
Yes.
There was just activity in and around that almost the whole time.
Yeah,
I'll have to see if I can dig that one up and
yeah,
get it
I think
posted.
Chad doesn't get rid of anything, so it's still kicking around somewhere. But you can see legs in there walking back and forth like they're pacing. And if I remember right, can you see like skirts swishing, or was it just legs? I think it was just legs.
I think it was the one that really stood out right towards the end was the legs, but there were things that were moving ethereally.
There was movement. Yeah, it's that investigation to this point in my career. It was the most fascinating investigation I've ever done, was in that home. It was amazing. The next thing is a spirit box. Do you guys know what a spirit box is? Doc, do you know what a spirit box is?
Yes, I have never seen you use one. I've been on a few investigations. I keep my fingers crossed, and it never, ever comes out.
Okay, I will bring it out just for you. I have a spirit box. I personally don't like them. They give me the creeps. So a spirit box, the thought process behind this is it's a piece of equipment that sweeps through radio waves, and you can set it for different speeds, and you might get 4 or 7 or 11. I don't remember exactly what the numbers are because I never use it, right?
I've heard like 15 per second. Pretty quick cycles.
Yeah, but it cycles through, and you can adjust it a little bit. And the idea is it cycles through fast enough that you'll hear little blips and bleeps from radios. But if you get a voice that goes over 2 or 3, 4 different channels, then it's the spirit talking to you, and the spirit's using the energy to talk to you through this. But the static makes me nervous and makes me anxious.
So it's just that sound that makes you uneasy. Just
Yes.
a ch-ch-ch-ch
Yes.
kind of sound.
So
Do that a little more,
we've
and she'll
had
probably
this.
hit you.
We've had this conversation before, and I'm gonna go back to this Netflix show that I watched today. And when she was using the little analog recorder that I have, what she was using for white noise is she turned on the water faucet, and she allowed the water coming out of the faucet to become the white noise, and she felt like that white noise helped her get better audio.
And see, water also, and I don't want to say proven, but
Provides energy.
provides energy, because you'll get a lot of spirit energy around water. Waterfalls, water wheels. So that makes sense
Creeks.
too. It's almost like a twofer. You
Or
get some
creeks.
extra energy and
Right.
some white noise.
Right.
So faucets, if you have a sink, take a sink with you on your investigation.
Right. Exactly.
In spirit boxes, I don't know, to me it almost seems like and this is my thing, but to me spirit boxes are like an audio Ouija board, and anything can come through. And so they kind of freak me out, which is why I don't use them.
Yeah.
But I will use one just for Doc the next time he comes on an investigation with us.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Because the one thing I have noticed when I have been on investigations with spirit boxes is you start to recognize the same voices.
Oh, really?
Because you'll hear a voice say, you might say, how many people in this room? And you'll hear a voice say 5. And you'll count. You'll be like, oh, yeah, there's 5. But then you'll hear that same voice again. What is your name? Sam. And it's like, you start to recognize the same voice.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, oh, that's that woman again. Or, oh, that's that creepy sounding man again. Or that's the names I give to people. Creepy sounding man, high-pitched voice lady, And spirit boxes, again, those run on the lower end. They're about $70 for a spirit box. Again, on Amazon. And we'll talk about some other places you can get stuff. But these are just, I did just some quick research. Let's hop on Amazon, type in things, see what's available.
Yeah, and I know with that one, definitely there's the apps on the phone.
Right. Now there's an Ovulus, which is similar to a spirit box, but in this one, ghosts don't speak directly into the box like they would a spirit box. On this one, the box has the ability to manipulate phonemes. Do you know what a phoneme is? I did not until I researched
No,
this.
you better tell me.
Don't.
I was like, a phoneme? I don't even... Everyone's listening is like, phoneme, and this is what it is, stupid. It's just basic, simple speech sounds or groups of sounds. And when ghosts talk, they don't have a lot of energy. They don't have a lot of power. But the box, an Ovulus, is supposed to be able to pick up little bits and form them into... It's kind of like predictive speech, but for ghosts. It's predictive text.
Does this
essentially.
take, I've seen, I don't know if this is the Ovulus or this is another device where they'll take like room temperature and electromagnetic frequency and a bunch of stuff, try to combine it to make a word. Is that this?
There's something that does that. I don't know if that's the same thing, though.
Gotcha.
Because I don't have an Ovulus, because they're about $1,000.
I see.
So I don't own one of the other. I've never used them, but there is something that uses temperature. We'll get to in a minute, but I don't know and it might be a combo.
That's what I was trying to figure out. But on that note, I was thinking, I don't trust people to do simple math, let alone be able to let me adjust the temperature down, add a little electromagnetic frequency and come up with a word. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm a little skeptical just with that setup that, I don't know how a ghost would operate it. I don't know. I'm not dead.
Yeah, so this one is this one shows you words on a screen. Now, Chad had an app that he pulled up. It wasn't the Ovulus, but on his phone.
Yeah, just a little app. I think it was Ghost Hunter Pro or something like that.
Right, and it's interesting because these word-generating apps and the Ovulus, I'm kind of with you, Doc. I'm skeptical because even the one that Chad had, every once in a while, we'll be doing the investigation and he'd be in the background, just telling us words that would pop up. And it's like, okay, styrofoam, that has nothing to do, pencil.
But there were a few times that we had some very...
Every once in a while, we'd have an investigation where the words that came out were just bang on what we were doing. And so, for me, the jury's kind of out.
Yeah, about 90% of the time, it was just pretty random. But there were a few times, and you go, oh, that's just, a broken clock's right twice a day. But I don't think it was that kind of a situation because it was too on spot for what we were doing.
Right. And then when we did get the on spots, it wasn't just like a one-time thing. We'd get, 3-4 words in a row that made sense. And then you'd get some gibberish. And then you'd get... But then we'd have whole investigations where it was like, just turn that off. That's garbage.
Right. I guess my skepticism, I've seen some of these ghost hunting shows where they'll be like, what's your name? And then the word that pops up is like tapioca. And they're like, oh, tapioca. And it's like, that's a stretch, right?
Yeah. And,
Maybe she was a stripper.
That's right.
Pairs
Pairs well with cinnamon and...
That was my first thought.
Tapioca.
I knew that's where you'd go, Rogue.
Okay, so
Thanks.
I have never heard of this one before. There are a few new little bits and bobs since I've purchased things last, and when I was online.
Wait, that was like the 27th of December.
What?
When you purchased things last.
I'm talking before that.
I was like,
She's talking this year.
not
As
even
I-
2 weeks
You
ago.
didn't let me finish my sentence. I said, as I was looking for things to purchase this Christmas. Before that, it's been a while since I've purchased
Oh, okay.
anything new.
I'm surprised if we go more than like 2 days without buying something on Amazon at my house.
Amazon and
We're there too.
I have to tell the Amazon guy, just put it over there. Don't ring the doorbell.
Tell them about the first time I asked you about Amazon.
Yeah. He was trying to decide if we were going to get Amazon Prime or not, and he calls me, and do you use Amazon a lot?
Let's set this up. We'd been
Oh.
married about 2 months.
Yeah, not very long. And I was like,
4 months.
I thought, dang, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble already.
And I'm thinking, will you use Amazon enough to make it worthwhile to get Prime?
It's like,
The
yes.
answer was yes,
Yeah.
yes, and that
And-
was when she figured out that she wasn't in trouble. That was her answer. Was yes.
No, if the UPS van drives past the house, it doesn't stop. I'm like, what, are you cheating on me? Where are you going? Come back here. I know there's something on that box. Okay, anyway, but there's something called a Paranormal Music Box. Have you guys heard of this before?
I have not.
No.
All the paranormal people listening to this are like, are you kidding? That's been out for so many years. You're lame. No, I've never heard of a Paranormal Music Box before. But it has a motion sensor that plays music when it's touched. So rather than beep, because there's like a REM pod. And the idea of a REM pod is when it's crossed up, it's got like an antenna on it. And when a spirit touches it, it lets off this horrific beep. But the Paranormal Music Box will let off tinkly music. They say it's especially good if you're looking for child spirits or maybe a spirit that's a little more curious. What is this? One that's more apt to play with your equipment.
Does this play like 80s ballads or creepy carnival music?
I want creepy carnival music because that's what my phone plays. If you call me, you get creepy carnival music on my phone.
Not much like U2 or anything
No.
going on there.
Probably not. I don't know. It's about $400. So I don't know that I'm going to be trying it out anytime soon because that's a little steep. But that sounds fun, actually. One of our favorites is a Ghost Meter Pro. And if you buy one of these, you want to be careful because there's a Ghost Meter and there's a Ghost Meter Pro. And the Ghost Meter Pro is better. It acts like a K2 meter. A red light comes on and there's a dial. And you have to kind of watch the dial for the clicks. It gives you the best information. But most spirits, in my experience, have been able to manipulate and like that better than the K2 meter. And I don't know why. But you can ask yes, no questions through it. It's one of my favorite ones. And the idea behind it is when a spirit touches it, it just closes a circuit.
So was it at that investigation where we did the Bible, where you were asking the questions with the Dowsing Rods and the Ghost Meter Pro was pretty much in sync?
I believe so. Laura, you were there.
I was at that one.
And that was that investigation, right?
That was one of my first.
And it
Okay.
was interesting. Again, this is kind of the idea of the more spiritual kind of gift with the Dowsing Rods and the Ghost Meter Pro and working in concert together. I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, and that's another reason why we'll often set out several different instruments is because you will get that validation and you'll get that, confirmation. Okay, the Dowsing Rod said this. Your K2 or your Ghost Meter Pro said something different. It's like, okay, well, maybe we need to, let's ask those questions a different way or let's do some clarifying so we can get a consistent answer.
This is the
Yeah.
device that's good for like yes or no questions, like
Yes.
the blink one for yes, blink twice
Yep.
for no, where you'll kind of hear it click and go click, click, and it'll
Yep.
light up, right? Okay,
Yep.
making sure I got the
Yeah,
right
you've
device.
seen that at Family Tree and
Yeah.
And that's
different
one
places.
that at investigations, often if we've got a new investigator, we'll let them take that. Or if we're on a public investigation, let someone in the public use that because it's pretty easy.
And it's a great visual. I want to say that.
It's a great visual. You get the confirmation from the lights and the clicking. And then, again, this one, if you hop on Amazon, they're about $50. So, kind of in that more affordable range if you're not willing to dump a ton of money right now, if you're just testing out things. And they resell pretty good because they're not very expensive and they're great to have in your kit.
It's interesting with these devices, just the way that you interface, the way that you interact with it can be very different, where you've got your spirit box, you're going to ask very direct questions and maybe get a direct answer.
Right.
Where, with the Ghost Meter Pro, it's got to be binary, right? It's got to be like a yes or no kind of
Right.
an answer, because you can't say, what's your name? click,
Yes.
click. Yeah. And that's actually a skill set. It takes a while to learn how to ask questions to be able to get an answer.
I've had people say, how do you come up with the questions you do? It's like, because I've done this forever, and you get to the point where you've asked so many questions and you've done so many. But yeah, I remember when you first start, you're like, what is your name? How old are you? But the more you do it, the better you get at asking questions. But I have found myself, as recently as our last investigation, looking at a K2 meter and saying, what is your name? And I was like, oh, wait. It's a yes or no question.
Right.
And the ghost is like, you're an idiot. I'm like, yeah, I know. So here's the one that you were talking about, Doc. There's a Mel meter.
Mel meter.
And your Mel meter is one that's going to give you Emf. It's going to give you temperature readings. And then I have one. I just don't use it very often, simply because everyone kind of gets their favorites and what they like. Next time we're on, we'll pull it out as well. But it also measures gases,
Degaussing.
I don't know. There's something. Again,
It's
every
electronic
every paranormal person listening to this is shaking their head, going, "Why is she talking about this? She doesn't know anything." And I don't, because I never use it. But there's a couple different things it measures. I have one. I need to play around with it a little bit more.
And will that one will produce a word?
No.
Oh, that one just tells you what the readings are.
This one, when I use this, it's if I want to watch for a temperature drop.
Okay.
Because the idea if a spirit comes, the temperature is going to drop, or the temperature could raise. And so you kind of, when I use it, I have used it for the temperature.
Yeah, you should be bringing that one out. That would have been a good one to have out on that last case we went on, Lehigh.
Yeah, it would have. So remind me, because...
And it's very sensitive to minor temperature fluctuations.
Oh yeah,
Right.
it will give you fractions of a
Fractions of a fraction.
So that'll give you temperature reading, but if you had something like a thermal camera.
Right, and I think my millimeter, because you'll get a lot that are kind of combined, my millimeter has a REM pod in it as well. And the REM pod is like the music box, except instead of circus music or U2, it gives you
Buzzes and
it
beeps.
just like screams at you. No, it's not a buzz or a beep. That
Yes.
would be pleasant. It's really annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Which is part of the reason she doesn't use it.
Yeah. But it has, you just pull out like this little antenna thing, and it's got lights at the top. It's got all sorts of stuff, wires and lights and things.
That one we should have had us out at when we were in Santa Quinn.
So remind me to pull it out, because I just,
Have to
sometimes I
remind
get
you.
lazy, because I like what I like.
I know.
So,
I can tell you always pull out the same things, and now I'm knowing that there's other special goodies in there that I need to be.
I bring a whole box of stuff. I just only pull out 2 or 3 things.
You have like 2 boxes of stuff.
Yeah, I do. But you know what? I have a ping pong ball.
You do.
And the idea with the ping pong ball is it's light enough that a spirit could move it if it was strong enough, it had enough energy. And I still have not had anyone move my ping pong ball. Other people in the team have had their ping pong ball like bounce downstairs, and mine
Thrown
just
across the room.
sits there like a slug.
That's disappointing.
Anyway, but the ping pong balls we got, they printed we got ping pong balls with wisps on it, but I'm not even going to tell you because I don't want anyone to get mixed up on our website, but they put the wrong website
URL.
on it.
Have to make a sticker for that.
I know, so we got to
But
get...
then the ping pong ball will be out of balance, and it'll move on its own.
Oh no.
Debunked.
So we got to just buy new
This
ping
ping
pong
pong ball
balls.
doesn't work. It's got a sticker on it.
So we've got dowsing rods, which, the idea is the spirit uses your energy and uses those through you. Extra batteries. Extra batteries is not going to prove anything, but you do need to have extra batteries.
Tell him about the
Always.
dowsing rods, the guy that when you pulled out your dowsing rods.
Oh, so we went and did an investigation, pulled out the dowsing rods. This was in South Utah County, and the guy looks at me and he goes, "Hey, you got witching sticks."
The old witching stick.
And he
Nice.
worked for the city water department. He says, we use those all the time to find water.
Find water. I've used them to go find gold.
Yeah.
Were you
So-
successful? That's the question.
I'm sitting here.
Not successful enough is what
Not-
you're saying.
Exactly. Exactly.
I would also say take a notebook with you so you can jot down notes so that when you're sitting down talking about residentials in your podcast that you have all the information and you're not hemming and hawing.
And throwing Rogue under the bus.
Yes, but see, you did great. So we talked a little bit about full spectrum cameras and videos already. Here's another one, vibration detectors.
She's waiting.
I was waiting
Doc,
for
she's waiting for
I was-
something.
I was waiting.
Vibration detectors.
It took him a minute.
I thought, here it
think
comes.
about
We'll
I
just
think my
wait.
thoughts were also just going somewhere else.
Trying to keep this a family program. Okay, so vibration detectors, I have never owned one, but I can't remember if it was Castle or Beaker or both. I think maybe it was both. At one time had one, and we did an investigation up in a building in Ogden. We were actually in the basement. It was an app on their phone.
Geophone.
Geophone, that's right. I'm going to write that down to see if they still have it.
I have it on mine.
Do you? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, but it lights up, it changes colors, and it would pick up vibrations. And it would just, change colors if things came by. And if I remember right, I think we got a little bit of activity on it. So those are pretty cool. Like I said, there's all sorts of different combos. There's Ghost Box with EVP recorders. There's millimeters with REMPA. I mean, if you can think up a combination, you can probably find it online.
They'll sell you anything.
Now, there was one more. And this one, I've never heard of it before. So between the Paranormal Music Box and this was called a hygrometer. And it reads changes in humidity. And it's thought to be an early warning sign of a spirit. So and it didn't really explain if it was a drop in humidity. I would imagine it would be a gain in humidity because the spirit's got mass.
Like misty.
Like they're moist. I don't know.
Like an avocado.
Ew.
Like an avocado.
Moist.
Ectoplasma and avocado.
Oh.
Synonymous.
So I've never used a hygrometer. Never heard of one before just a couple days ago. If anybody here has used or have seen used a Paranormal Music Box or a hygrometer, I would like to hear your thoughts on it or how it works.
Send us an email.
Send us an email at apps.wisps.contact
.contact@gmail.com.
and just one P for Advanced Paranormal Services.
Wow.
apps.wisps.contact@gmail.com. I didn't come up with it.
Wow.
Don't look at me like that. It's not mine.
I didn't come up with it either, but that's what we ended up with.
That's what we have.
I've got one other that you didn't mention. You did at the beginning, but not as a tool.
Oh.
The flashlight.
Oh.
Maglite.
Yes. I don't know. I think mine are weird. Mine haven't worked very good.
You've had some success with them.
Some success, but I don't know. So the idea is you get a mag light, one that just twists on, and you turn it till it's just barely
Not
off.
on.
And the idea is when the spirit touches it, it will finish that connection. And we did as a group, one of our very first residentials was in Payson, and we talked to a spirit. And she loved the flashlights. And we talked to her for
15 minutes.
Oh, no. We talked to her for probably an hour. I mean, it was very intelligent. It was, if yes, flash the left one twice, and it would come on twice. If no, flash the right one once, it would flash once. I mean, no matter what little, and I don't want to say command, but no matter what combination you asked the spirit to do, she would do it. It was phenomenal. We chatted with her for
Is that
probably
the same
an
house
hour.
where something was thrown around?
Yeah, she threw a wood block at Castle
Oh.
while he was setting up. And she was a very playful ghost.
Oh, okay.
She was very playful, very active. On April Fool's Day, she yanked one of the kids out of bed.
That's terrifying.
You
not
went
playful.
into the bathroom, and she liked to turn the clock sideways. And you could go in the bathroom, and you could see on the wall where she turned the clock.
Oh.
And you could see where it had scraped paint on the wall. I mean, and they loved her, and she was fun. We had a great time with her.
Oh.
That was probably the last time I've had any really
Pretty good
intelligent.
success at the Broadway Theater with some people.
Yeah, but it still pales compared to that first one.
Well, you had phenomenal ones, so everything else is going to.
Yeah, but in my defense, one of my flashlights I think is really stiff because I've put a green lens in one and a red one in the other, so I can say turn the green one on, turn the red one on, and I think the red one is just there's something wrong with it. It's really stiff. I need to get different ones.
Yep.
I need to get really loose
Loose ones.
ones.
Well, when we did that investigation with the Bible, you pulled them out, and they worked. We were getting some communication with them on that case.
Yeah. Actually, I mean, with your flashlights, you need to be careful because there'll be times where you can tell that they're playing with them because they're turning off and on. But if I'm not getting
Consistency.
any consistency, then I tend to just put them away. It's like, you're just playing with this. We're going to get something else out. So as far as where can you get stuff, I've said Amazon like 500 times. I'm not being paid by Amazon
A to Z.
to post them, but Amazon, they've got, if they don't have it, you don't need it. Some places that I have gone and purchased stuff that I really quite like is a place called the Ghost Hunter Store, just theghosthunterstore.com. There's also a shop called Ghost Stop, and again, just ghoststop.com. Those are kind of my 3 go-to places. And if you guys have go-to places of places that have good prices, good equipment, different things, let us know, and we'll put it out there.
Perfect.
Cool.